consistent cookies, you're gonna need some way to roll your dough even. When I first started, honestly, I eyeballed my dough a lot, so that meant some cookies were thicker, some cookies were thinner, and to be honest, no one really noticed or paid attention to it. So if that's all you have in your budget is just to buy a regular rolling pin, then that's perfectly fine. If you're able, I highly recommend you buy a rolling pin with thickness rings on the end. As a bonus, the one that is linked on my Amazon storefront comes with a dough mat. I love using a dough mat because it gives me a dedicated space for my dough, and I don't have to use as much flour as I would if I was rolling it on just my countertop. And a bonus, it keeps things so much more cleaner. Easy cleanup. Another great option you can get is a rolling pin with rolling guides. They look like sticks, but they're measured to the different thicknesses of your dough, which, just like the rolling pin that has the thickness rings, it'll give you the same thickness across all of your cookies, which in return gives you more consistent results and an even bake. If you are interested in either a rolling pin, a rolling pin with thickness guides, or the thickness guides sticks, both of those will be on my Amazon storefront. Let's talk baking pans. I already have baking pans at home, and hey, that's perfectly fine. I always recommend doing a test batch first to see if those pans will work for you. If you are in the market for new pans, I recommend starting out with just 2 really good pans. Another important tip, make sure you keep them dedicated just to your cookies, nothing else. And when choosing pans, make sure that you go for lighter pans. Darker pans can lead to overbrowning. Now let's talk liners. This part is completely optional but very helpful. You can bake your cookies on just regular parchment paper. Some options for baking your cookies: you can bake your cookies on parchment paper, a silicone baking mat, or even a perforated baking mat. But is it a must? Not necessary. In the beginning of my cookie business, I baked directly on my trays with nothing, no liner, and they came out just fine. But once I started using baking mats, specifically perforated baking mats, I noticed a huge difference in my cookies. Had a much softer texture and they were more evenly baked. Also, as a bonus, perforated baking mats will give you that pretty crisscross texture on the back of your cookies. In decorating sugar cookies, you want a place for them to dry, a dedicated space for them to dry. You can definitely skip a cooling rack and just use parchment paper on a flat surface. That definitely works just fine when you're just starting out. However, I really do like using my cooling rack, especially my tiered cooling rack, because honestly, it saves me so much space. A plus is that it gives your cookies that dedicated space and room to dry without taking up all of your counter space. And hey, regular cooling racks will work as well. The next tool is just a good to have tool. But when you're just starting out, it's not a necessity. I didn't use an oven thermometer when I first started my cookie business. I baked without one for a while and things were just fine. But now that I use one, I find it really helpful to know if my oven is heating and cooling properly. So this little tool, it takes the guesswork out of baking and it gives you more consistent results, because ovens aren't always as accurate as the temperature that you set them at, which in return can affect the way your cookies bake. However, if you don't have one, don't stress. Start with what you have, and when you are ready, you can add this later. In this video, we're going to be talking about the small tools that I recommend when it comes to decorating Royal Icing Sugar Cookies. Most of these items are items you may have already lying around your house. And if not the exact version, definitely a variation, some version. First is going to be Ryder bottles. I use these for precision and control, especially for lettering and small details. I also use piping bags, but I use those mainly to fill my Ryder bottles with icing or if I'm doing a floral design. Baby spoons are also one of my favorite tools because it's small and flexible and it helps with mixing icing and getting the right consistency. Another must for me is an empty spray bottle. I use this to thin my icing to the consistency that I need it for. Food safe markers are great for adding fine detail to your cookies. A scribe is another good one. It's used to pop any air bubbles that may form in your icing. A toothpick though also works as well. For your color, I recommend using gel food coloring. A great brand is AmeriColor. You can purchase off Amazon, or I really like the Sunnyside Bakery gel food coloring from Hobby Lobby. For mixing and storing my icing, I like to use mini prep bowls. Also, Tupperware containers are great for storing icing. A Ziploc bag works too. Anything that creates an airtight seal. I also like to use Ziploc bags or Tupperware or 1-gallon Tupperware containers to store my cookies before they're decorated and after they've dried. Another good small tool that I like to use is press and seal. It keeps my icing, my royal icing, from crusting over while I'm working. Also, don't overlook paper towels. They're great for cleaning up messes, great for wiping off your scribe. They're just all around great, so don't sleep on those. Offset spatula is really good when you're transferring cookies to and from maybe your pan to your drying rack, or from your dough mat to your pan to bake. Finally, silicone spatulas and measuring cups and spoons. And I know that these are everyday kitchen items, but they are great for accuracy and measuring your dough and getting consistent results. None of these things have to be fancy. Start with what you have and build your toolkit over time. Also, if you're interested, any of the things that I discussed in this video will be linked in my Amazon storefront. I know what you might be thinking. You might be saying, okay, I can't draw, so how am I going to get these intricate designs on my royal icing cookies? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you how. And guess what? I have great news for you. You do not have to know how to draw in order to do royal icing sugar cookies. This is an option that is almost free. You're going to need 3 things. You're going to need your smartphone, you're going to need an overhead tabletop tripod, and you're also going to need to download an app. So the first app is for, if you are an iPhone user, it's called the Camera Lucida app. And then the second one is if you have a Android or a Samsung device, you're going to need to download the Cow app. Using your phone, you can place the design over your cookie, position it, and then trace it. This makes detailed design so much easier and so much more approachable, especially if you are a beginner. Me personally, I love this method because it gets the job done without needing any expensive equipment. It's affordable, easy to use, and anybody can do it. Please do not go out and spend a fortune on cookie cutters. When you are just starting out, you do not need a cookie cutter for every holiday, every theme, or trend. I recommend starting out with a few basic shapes, which can be used with any theme and any designs. For example, a heart, a square, a rectangle, a star, a circle, a plaque cookie, just to name a few. You get my point. These shapes are versatile and easy to decorate with, and they go with just about anything. Birthdays, weddings, holidays, you name it. Then you can only buy specialty shapes when you have orders for them. This will help you to avoid wasting money, which as a beginner we are not doing. And it also keeps your supplies intentional. Allow your orders to determine what cookie cutters you stock up on. Next few items are just the finishing touches for your cookies. They're not anything pressing that you need to buy right away. As you get closer to taking orders, these are items that will help elevate your packaging and your branding. First are going to be logo stickers or thank you stickers. They add a personal touch to your packaging. You can print your own through Avery templates that you can buy at Walmart, Target, Office Depot, Amazon, and you can customize your label using Canva. You can also print them using Amazon or Vistaprint. And if you haven't invested in a logo yet, you can go to a store like Hobby Lobby or even Amazon and purchase thank you stickers to add to your packaging. Next are resellable cellophane bags. These will help your cookies stay fresh and secure when transporting and delivering to your customers. I recommend starting with either a 4x6 or a 5x7 self-seal cellophane bag. And I've purchased these from Amazon, Hobby Lobby, even a web restaurant. But if you're just starting out, honestly, Amazon will probably be your most cost-effective route. Since self-seal cellophane bags have an adhesive strip, all you have to do is peel and stick. A heat sealer is a great option to add later down the road, but it's not something that you need right now. And finally, bakery boxes. I recommend 10 by 10 to get you started. You can purchase these from Amazon, Hobby Lobby, Walmart, even web. Remember, all of these are optional upgrades as you progress in your business. I would focus on as a beginner is getting my cookie recipe right, my royal icing recipe right, making sure that the two are a great combination and that they taste great. All of those little things I would focus on before, and when you're ready to start taking custom orders, that's when you want to invest in things like the boxes, the self-seal cellophane bags, etc.